do is so positive to me and frankly inspiring, and you're able to make great money at it. So without me saying anything else, Martin, we just met on an elevator. Give me the elevator pitch for what you do.
Sure. So we keep homeowners in their homes with payments they can afford while making a profit for our company. So what that
Beautiful.
means is we buy mortgages in a distressed state. So the borrower hasn't made a payment in a few years, so they are non-performing mortgages. And we work with the homeowner in a compassionate, humane manner to get them back on their feet with loan modifications and other solutions to keep them in their homes and create a cash flow stream for our company.
That's great. All right. Now, this immediately brings to mind, on the part of a lot of our listeners, a whole bunch of questions. I know that one of the questions is, what kind of cash flow? Another one is, where do you get these loans? Let's just kind of take them down. What kind of cash flow are you talking about? What kind of return are you talking about? When you buy these mortgages, what are you looking at making?
Well, I think it's first probably best to just explain how we obtain these mortgages, so that way that can be understood, and then
Okay. Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
I can go into some numbers for you.
Because
So
that's another question. Where do you find these?
yeah, exactly, and that will help kind of take people down the road, the journey to how we're
Okay.
getting the numbers we're getting. So these are all bank originated mortgages, mortgages that are originated, top 10 banks that everyone would be familiar with. And so a portion of these bank originated mortgages, obviously, all of them went through Fannie and Freddie underwriting guidelines initially. All of them, these homeowners qualified for these mortgages at some point with a bank. And so a portion of these mortgages over time go into a defaulted state. Typically, it's about 4% of the portfolio that was originated. And so a bank's going to hold on, see if they can kind of work out some resolution. But at some point, the bank may decide to bundle these defaulted mortgages into tranches and sell them into the secondary mortgage market to a hedge fund like our hedge fund. And when that occurs, the hedge fund has a decision to make. They can either foreclose, begin foreclosure on the property immediately, take back the property, displace the family, and realize a gain, capital gain from that experience. Or like our company does, and what we've set out as our mission 9 years ago when we started, is we decided we wanted to do everything humanly possible to try to work with the homeowner to keep them in their homes. Because we bought these mortgages at a discount, we're able to make certain concessions to do that.
Yeah.
So we,
That's
we may buy these mortgages in at 20-40 cents on the dollar.
20 to 40 cents on the dollar.
Hmm.
So when you go back to renegotiate with the people, their new loan balance isn't going to be 20 to 40% of what it was. It's going to be what, 50 to 70%?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation.
Right.
Everything's really based on, where the borrower's at currently financially, what they can afford monthly. A lot of times it comes down to they should be paying $600 a month per the original terms of the mortgage note. However, all they can afford now is $450 a month. And so if we're able to make that number work on our side, and then what's going to happen is it's going to create a relationship, just like, I know you're on the real estate side, just like a relationship's formed between a landlord and a tenant that you help. And so based on that relationship, and we foster that, we give them what they can afford out of the gate, and we have just stellar communication with them, through the course of them holding the more, being with us as a borrower. Then it's just
Yeah.
that's the win-win we create.
So you've got a financial model that you run each individual loan through, and then someone's going to get on the phone with them. I imagine you've got a team because you buy these in quantities, right?
Yeah, we buy them in hundreds, by the
Yeah.
hundreds, and
That's a lot
and
of phone calls,
so
man.
yeah, so we have a team of asset managers. We're based out of in Sarasota, Florida, and we have a team of asset managers that get on the phone with these homeowners. What's interesting is when we're bringing on asset managers, we have a culture of transparency and compassion. So actually, those are one of the first attributes we look for when we're hiring a new asset manager. We want someone with, just has a heart. We want someone that wants to work with someone, even though initially there may be some, confrontational back and forth initially, but
Yeah.
ultimately, we want people that can build relationships with these homeowners.
Now, do you buy them all across the country?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any states you avoid because of their prickly foreclosure process?
There really isn't. There's a price associated with every note in every state. So obviously, if there's a risk factor such as moratoriums or lengthy foreclosure timelines, then we'll account for that in our pricing model.
Or lengthy right of redemption?
Yes, yeah, that doesn't bother us as much. I mean, the
Oh,
percentage of people that redeem is so low that
yeah.
we don't really factor that in as much.
Yeah, but you know that year long right of redemption in Alabama is one reason I'm not at the courthouse auctions in Alabama because I may pay the money and nothing I can do with the house while the homeowners are free to still stay there.
Well, what's interesting, I completely get that, and as if I was on the real estate side, if I the hard asset side, I would definitely be leery of certain states like Alabama or Michigan. But with what we do, we have our system so well nailed down that we only foreclose on less than 1% of our portfolio. So
That's
a
awesome.
vast majority, we actually work out modifications with the homeowners.
That's awesome. And so I would imagine it takes a while for your asset managers to get trained and fully up to speed, but you're working with them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have training manuals. We have everything. The first four
Hmm.
years of me doing this, I actually did it as a one-person operation. So, which I regret today. I should have grown larger quicker. But but with that said, I learned how to source these mortgages. I learned how to vet them with all the due diligence processes. I built all the asset management processes myself
Hmm.
and worked them out. So I used to be on the phone with hundreds of borrowers myself for 4 years before I started building a team out. So
Man,
I get every aspect of the business.
I like people, but I don't like talking on the phone that much.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
kudos to
Unless
you.
unless they're about to give you money, Roger.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of which, there are some ways that people can get involved with what you're doing. So what's the name of your company?
Um, so so Bequest Funds is our income fund. That's one way. We do have a separate entity. It's an income fund, 506C, Reg D income fund, whereby accredited investors can participate in our offering and receive a 9% annual return paid to them monthly as a way to passively invest in if they're looking for
Okay.
additional cash flow.
Yeah.
That's one
And
way.
if if you did, I hope that if you're listening, you picked up accredited investors. And if you don't know what we're talking about there, then you probably aren't. But
Mm.
uh, you can look it up. There are a number of sources on the internet where you can read definitions of accredited investors. So you don't have any programs for unaccredited, like
Well, I do.
crowdfunding type.
Well, yes and no. I've written 4 books, 3 of which are on the mortgage note industry. The most significant or notable one is Note Investing Made Easier. And if you just punch my name up on Amazon, you'll catch the books there. And so a lot of the books will give you the fundamentals of note investing if you want to set up to be a note investor yourself. Obviously, I can't, I don't have a golden pill for anyone. You're either going to do the work like I did the work, right, and use my knowledge or other investors' knowledge that have gone before you and work off their systems and put in the sweat, or you
Yeah.
have the money already and you can invest passively. I don't know a third option.
Right. Well, I was going to get to that point. I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that they can go to your website, and
Mhm.
we're going to give that again in a minute. Um, and they can, if they're accredited investors, they can just invest with you. What's the minimum investment amount?
50,000.
Okay. So then you're guaranteeing a 9% return.
Well, there's no guarantees in life. So
Yeah.
just with that said, but I've been doing this 9 years. I've never missed an investor payment. In the website for Bequest funds is bqfunds.com. So it's bqfunds.com. And you can actually go through the whole registration process online without even talking to someone on our team.
Oh, all right. That's good. Now, do you happen to teach note investing or just through your book?
So I wrote the first book in 2017, and I do have a number of people that reach out to me as a result, and I did mentor some folks for a few years, but I'm currently not doing that right now
Yeah.
because I mean we're building a team. Our team's growing. We have 14 people on our team, and I have a partner, and the team's just we're going to be hiring on another 3 people coming up soon. So my time is really just kind of developing the team as well as growing our investor base
Yeah.
and acquiring new assets.
Yeah. I understand that. I'm Joe Schmo out there listening to this, and I'm going to go right now look up Martin Saenz, and that's spelled Saenz. If you're listening and not watching, and that's Martin Saenz. I'm going to Amazon. I'm getting your book. I want to be you, man. I don't want to invest with you. I want to be you. And so, how much money is it going to take for me to get started? Ballpark.
Yeah, I've been asked that question a lot. What I would say is you need a good 25,000.
Oh, that's
Not
all.
not yeah. So and the reason I say that not because of what you need to invest in your first note and learn what you're doing, but a majority of the money you needs to go into building your identity, self-educating yourself, attending conferences, and building a marketing and branding strategy for yourself, along with an outreach strategy where you're going to start building relationships. So, majority of that money, if you spend it towards doing the hard work, then at some point you're going to be in a place where you're gonna see a pool of mortgage notes, and you're gonna be so well connected because you're gonna build a web of a power base for yourself that you'll find all the money you need. There's You're never gonna outspend anyone, especially in the note space. There's people sitting with tens of millions of dollars in cash. You're never gonna go toe to toe with those people. So the only thing you can do is build your identity, self educate like the Dickens, build marketing and branding so you look the part as well as think the part, and spend a majority of your time building relationships through a strategic outreach effort.
Now, if I read your book, am I going to have a pretty good idea where to go look for these notes and how to build that network you're talking about?
Yeah, I touch on that. What I just stated, I
Okay.
touch on it majorly in my books because that's what I believe and that's what I did for myself. And so it's not so much people when they come into note investing, what they think of, and this is probably no different than real estate because I'm a landlord too. I've been one since '09, so I understand. People think like, how do I get my first property? How do I get my first note? And they want speed that way. But it's like, no, it's like, how do I know what I'm doing so I do it correctly when I first do it? Like, that's what you should be thinking. And so, finding your first note is, I mean, you could find a note now. You can go to PaperStack, and there's other online auction sites where you can buy in a retail setting. You can go to the MLS and find yourself a house today. But to find something wholesale, pocket listing, you need to put in the work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. Well, even as we are recording this, my team is over there roaming through Amazon, look, and we're going to order your book because I want it. Um, I have a little bit of shiny object syndrome here. I talk to people like you who are doing wonderful things, and I think, oh yeah, oh, I'll add that to the mix of everything I don't have time to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So, just one other quick question: why non-performing notes versus performing? I know you can buy performing notes too.
Yeah, we buy both. We buy both. So
Okay.
we have two separate entities. Our first entity purchases non-performing notes, and we've been doing that for 9 years. And so that's the bread and butter. We buy them in at a deep discount, and we get them to perform. And in our other entity, Bequest, which we formed a few years ago, that only buys seasoned performing mortgages in. So to your question of how do we pay out 9% and pay it out month? How do we pay out 9% annually and pay it out monthly? Well, we buy in seasoned performing mortgages at a 12% yield, which allows us to pay out our investors 9%. Now, the coupon rate, which is the interest rate of those mortgages, on average is about 6.5%. So, what that means is these are mortgages that have been modified and re-seasoned. So, in other words, a hedge fund bought them in at 40 cents, got them performing at par, and now is selling them to us in Bequest funds at 80 cents on the dollar, which equates to a 12% yield, 11 to 13% yield,
Yeah.
which allows us to pay out at 9% comfortably.
And if you missed the math on that, um, maybe this isn't for you. No, I'm kidding. A few more repetitions, and you'll begin to quickly understand that kind of math, and that's good. All right, so I guess I'm just going to. I hope I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, but for someone who wants to get started doing this themselves, go to Amazon and pick up your book, and then take it from there and start building that network
Yeah,
and
I mean,
pay
or
your
do what I
pennies.
did. I bought the first 10 books I could find on Amazon. Forget like just my book. You should be getting your hand on every single book.
Oh,
You should put a conference budget. You should be attending certain conferences. I mean, you need total immersion. There's a lot of complexity around this space. I know the numbers sound great, right? Buy it in at 40, get it modifying, sell it at 80 cents on the dollar. You're just doubling your money,
right.
right? All these sound like, wow, this sounds really good. And then but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of pitfalls, a lot of ways to
Yes.
lose your money. And buy loans that you thought were secured and are unsecured, or you thought they were first lien positions and they're third lien positions, and all these nuances. So you really just got to self-educate yourself.
All right, I want to wrap it up by kind of taking this angle with this whole topic, um, because you were saying making 12 to 13%, and you're paying out 9%, and of course you're living and feeding and your family and taking care of your staff on that. The difference in there, that 3 to 4%. And so I want everybody to think about that 3 to 4% for a minute, because as much as I know that many of you listening right now are thinking, oh, I want to go do this. I want to go do this. I want to encourage you to put it in the context of your life. Is this what you want to do with your life? When I have people on the show talking about apartments, the numbers are gaudy and it sounds, oh, this is just awesome. I want to go do this. But is managing a multifamily really what you want to do with your life? And if you're like me, what I want to do with my life is I want to park my money into something that gives me a return while I travel the world with my beautiful wife. That's what I want to do. I don't want to learn. I'm curious and I'm going to read your book, but I don't really plan to get into the note buying business. I just want to invest in someone that I trust. And reading your book is going to help that. Of course, I can look in your eyes right now and believe that I could trust Martin Saenz. I got
Well,
no
thank
problem with
you.
that. Um, but so if you're listening right now, what I want you to understand is there is an inclination on the part of all of us, A-type personalities to run out there and say, yeah, let's add that to the mix. But one of the things that I do with my own coaching students is encourage them to Stop trying all these things. Focus on one thing. Knowing the words of my wise mentor who says, the dog that chases 5 rabbits catches none.
That's great. Those are great words, and what I'd say is, we have some people we talk to, and they're like, "Well, I want more than 9%," and they want more of the juice. And what I say is, like, do you want to come in every Monday through Friday and manage, a team? We got HR, we got controller, we got asset managers, we got a marketing person. I mean, do you want to go and do the day to day grind with me? Because I'd be open to offering more than 9%. It's 9%'s nothing. It's just you do nothing to receive it.
Yeah.
So anything more, you got to put in the work.
People say, I want to become a full time real estate investor because I want to get out of the rat race and I want to get out of corporate America. And then they go and set up a business and they want to make more money. So they scale. And guess what? They're back in corporate America. Maybe
Yeah.
they're at the top of the totem pole, but they've got a company to run and there are
Yes.
responsibilities that go along with that. All right. So it's up to each of you listening to find your own fit and the place where you can be. But Martin gives you opportunities. BQfunds.com. If you're an accredited investor, if you've got a net worth of $1 million, not counting your home, or you have income of, what is it, 200,000 individually or 300,000 jointly, um, and you've got the tax return to show that, then you can be an accredited investor and you can invest with Martin. And you know, as much as I have the ability to endorse anything, I would endorse that and encourage everybody to really take a good hard look at bqfunds.com. He's Martin Saenz. I'm Roger Blankenship. After this break.